After entering high school, I was an unnoticed extra in the class. Mary mistakenly thought I was the top student and pursued me online for a year, only realizing she had the wrong person on the day we met. She felt I had deceived her and launched a 2-year-long revenge against me. In the end, I only got admitted to a vocational college. 10 years later, she became a big star and even married her idol. As for me, I struggled just to get by and was beaten to death by thugs. When I opened my eyes, I was back in high school. Back to the day I first met Mary. I clearly remember the feeling of death. On that silent winter night, deep within a dark alley, a few thugs surrounded me menacingly, their fists and kicks raining down relentlessly, and I gradually lost my breath. In the darkness, my consciousness slowly faded. Suddenly, all the pain vanished. When I opened my eyes, the scene before me left me stunned. What met my eyes were neatly arranged desks. Looking down, on the desk lay brand new textbooks and 2 sets of pristine school uniforms. Everything was so familiar, it felt like a different world. The classroom was filled with classmates from my memories. Ms. Lee stood on the podium, delivering an enthusiastic opening speech, and with such a young face too. Just as I was lost in confusion, a light, brisk footstep came from outside the door. "Hello, teacher." A clear, crisp voice sounded. That voice made my whole body stiffen. Looking up, a graceful girl stood at the door. She wore a pure white dress, her jet black hair cascading down to her waist, a sweet smile on her face, and every gesture radiated elegance. My heart almost stopped. Mary. It was actually her. My chest heaved violently, fear and resentment intertwined. I instinctively clenched my hands tightly, my knuckles turning white from the force. The sting in my palms reminded me that all of this was real, that I had truly returned to the past. Back to the first day of the second year of high school, the very day I had arranged to meet Mary. From that moment on, my life began to spiral into an abyss. After entering high school, I became introverted, poor at socializing, and my academic performance was mediocre. My classmates all treated me like an invisible person. I got used to being alone and gradually became even more withdrawn. Just then, Mary burst into my world. She was lively and enthusiastic, messaging me every day and making the first move. My closed-off heart slowly began to open because of her. And so she started a year-long online pursuit of me. In the second year of high school, Mary suggested meeting up. I hesitated, feeling both anticipation and fear. I wanted to see her, too, but I worried that I was too ordinary and unworthy of her expectations. Sensing my hesitation, she sent me a message. That sentence completely changed my fate. "George, your talent and character are what truly matter. Your appearance is irrelevant to me." I believed it wholeheartedly. This very afternoon, we agreed to meet at the cinema. She said she wanted to watch a sweet romantic movie with me and enjoy a romantic time together. I wore a carefully ironed white shirt and dress pants, full of anticipation to meet her. But the moment she saw me, a look of disgust flashed across her face, and she looked me over in disbelief. "You are George?" I nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, I am George." My heart pounded like a drum, but Mary's expression grew even colder. She made a call with a blank expression. Moments later, a few fashionably dressed girls surrounded me. They were all Mary's close friends. They began verbally humiliating me, threw my backpack into the trash can, and even splashed dirty water on me. A summer storm arrived unexpectedly. My white shirt was soaked through with sweat and dirty water. Mary watched coldly, and I could hardly meet her gaze. I wanted to ask for an explanation, but she stopped me harshly. "Disgusting loser. What do you think you are? You look so ordinary yet dare to pretend to be my male idol. Shameless to the extreme. Get lost quickly. Just seeing you makes me sick." Only then did I suddenly realize that Mary had added me by mistake on WeChat. She originally intended to add the top student she had secretly admired for a long time. We used the same profile picture, and our names happened to be the same, which caused a misunderstanding. I thought I was finally loved, but it turned out to be a ridiculous mistake. Mary explained to the teacher that she had entered the wrong classroom and could see the start of the new semester, a mess. Lee didn't say much and just gestured for her to find any empty seat. Watching her retreating figure, memories surged in my mind. Mary admired James, the school's famously top academic male idol. In the previous life, Mary rose from a campus singer to a popular female star, relying on her outstanding looks and talents. She attracted James's attention with her success, and the two fell in love during a variety show, eventually becoming a couple. The media hailed her struggle story as an inspirational model, and major programs competed to invite her to share her experiences. Not only did she find perfect love, but she also became a top celebrity in the spotlight. As for me, I failed the college entrance exam in a neglected corner. Mary took me as a scapegoat and tormented me continuously for 2 years. In the end, I didn't even pass the third-year cutoff and had to attend a local vocational college. Without a decent diploma, I struggled to get by in society. To pay off my mother's medical bills, I had to sell our property and take on odd jobs everywhere. Just as the debt was about to be cleared, I was brutally beaten to death by a few drunken thugs. Memories surged like a tidal wave. I only snapped back to reality when the phone in my pocket vibrated. It was a message from Mary. "Big brother, I especially dressed up so beautifully today. I'm really looking forward to meeting you." I stared at the phone screen, feeling a wave of nausea. Pretending to be pure and cute, but she's just a materialistic woman chasing fame and fortune, truly disgusting. I decided to cut off all contact completely and immediately replied, "Not interested anymore. Delete it. No need to meet." After speaking, she immediately blocked and deleted me in one swift motion. The opening ceremony ended, and I headed straight home. The moment I pushed open the door, the familiar aroma of food greeted me. Mom was busy in the kitchen, wearing an apron. When she saw me come back, she said without turning her head, "You're back. Hurry up and wash your hands. I made your favorite braised pork ribs." Watching her busy figure, my heart warmed. To avoid letting her notice anything unusual, I quietly went into the bathroom to freshen up. By the time I came out, the meal was already laid out. A bite of the ribs entered my mouth, and the familiar taste made my nose sting, but I still held back my emotions. Seeing my expression change, Mom frowned and asked, "What's wrong? Doesn't it suit your taste?" I quickly waved my hand. "No, it's delicious. I haven't had a meal made by you in a long time. In my previous life, Mom passed away from lung cancer during my second year of college. I never thought I would get to taste her cooking again." Hearing me say this, Mom felt relieved. She said gently, "If you like it, eat more. You need to be full to have the energy to get along with new friends." I had always been alone, spending holidays by myself at home. Knowing I was meeting new friends today, Mom was happy for me, too. Naturally, I wouldn't go to see Mary, but to avoid worrying my mother, I had a simple lunch and then left the house. Although I'd already blocked Mary, I still felt uneasy inside. Rebirth was hard-earned. And to be absolutely safe, I decided to go to the telecom service center to cancel this number. The scorching sun blazed like fire. After leaving the service center, I finally let out a sigh of relief. Now, Mary probably won't be able to find me. Sure enough, Mary didn't show up for the next month. Just when I thought I had finally gotten rid of her and was ready to focus on my studies, I found a note inside my desk. Scrawled crookedly on it were the words, "You're dead. You bastard." My heart jumped into my throat. Unsure if this note was written by Mary, I tore the note into pieces and scattered them into the trash can, deliberately making sure she saw it. Taking advantage of her turning around, I secretly observed Mary's reaction. She didn't seem to care. This gave me a slight sense of relief, making me think I might have been overthinking it. However, the next day, another note appeared in the drawer of my desk. This time it read, "Disgusting loser. If you try to sneak away after school again, you're done for." My hands began to tremble uncontrollably. The term disgusting loser was Mary's trademark insult. She always cursed like that. I've heard these words so many times my ears are about to get calluses. By this point, I was already certain that these notes were written by Mary. I just can't understand. Even though I've been trying my best to avoid her, why does she still target me? I took the note and went to find a homeroom teacher, Ms. Lee. The days I was bullied by Mary in my past life felt like a nightmare I could never wake up from. This time, I was determined to stop the tragedy from happening again. Miss Lee was a young and lively teacher, always smiling warmly and very popular with the students. She carefully looked at the note and asked if I had offended anyone recently. I scratched my head. "Teacher, I've been keeping a low profile lately and haven't had any conflicts with anyone. When I received the first note yesterday, I didn't take it seriously, but now that there's a second one today, I feel something's wrong and wanted to ask for your help. Ms. Lee smiled and patted me on the shoulder. You did the right thing. When you encounter problems, you should tell the teacher in time and not bear it alone. She advised me to go back to class and to report to her immediately if anything unusual happened. I nodded in agreement, a slight smile curling at the corner of my mouth as I turned around. Ms. Lee is intimately familiar with every student's handwriting. She will surely uncover the truth soon. Mary wants to play the innocent. I'm determined to let the teacher see her true colors. On Friday afternoon, Ms. Lee called Mary into the office. When she came back, her face looked as sour as if she had swallowed a fly, clearly having been scolded. As she passed by my seat, she deliberately knocked over my water cup, spilling water all over the table. Before I could say anything, the girl sitting next to me spoke first. She lazily raised her eyes and sneered. Oh, Miss Mary is throwing a tantrum again. Have you graduated from kindergarten yet? Mary, holding back a belly full of anger, immediately flared up. You a fighter, dare to boss me around here? Planning to leave early, are you? A week ago, when seats were reassigned, my new deskmate Elena was no saint either. She was caught red-handed fighting with a girl from the neighboring class and was demoted from the honors class to the regular class. Now, she already has one major demerit, and one more, and she'll have to pack up and leave. Elena raised an eyebrow and sneered disdainfully. Huh? Who leaves first is still up in the air. Watch out, or your dirty secrets might get exposed. I thought Mary would fly into a rage, but instead she just glared at Elena through gritted teeth. A deserves a dog forever and always. George, just you wait. After throwing out this harsh threat, Mary actually just left like that. This unusual behavior surprised me. When did the school beauty and young lady learn to swallow her pride? Could it be that Elena has some leverage over her? Although Mary had no intention of letting me off, the campus singer competition was coming up next week. She was busy practicing her singing, hoping to showcase her voice in front of the school heartthrob James. So, she temporarily had no time to bother me. I also devoted all my energy to studying. But this high school material was so unfamiliar to me that no matter how hard I studied, it always felt difficult. Others can easily remember 50 words a day, but I have to repeatedly write them down just to barely remember 30. When the monthly exam results came out, only math and chemistry were somewhat acceptable. The other subjects were all struggling around the passing line. Staring at the report card, I fell into deep self-doubt. Could it be that I'm really destined to be a poor student? And even if I had a second chance, I still couldn't change my fate. Accidentally glancing at Elena's report card, I was stunned. She actually failed all her subjects. Even more outrageous, she scored 0 in Chinese, history, and politics, but I scored 10 points in math, 20 in physics, and 30 in English. Isn't this just too bizarre? I couldn't help but ask, Elena, your grades are really strange, aren't they? Elena smiled slightly. I guessed on all the multiple-choice questions, and I couldn't even understand the big questions. Why don't you just guess on subjects like Chinese and politics? Well, Elena rubbed her eyes. There are too many words. Just looking at them is annoying. I was speechless and had no choice but to continue studying my mistakes. Before long, there was suddenly a commotion at the classroom door. A tall, well-built boy strode in angrily, heading straight toward Elena. Elena, why didn't you take this exam seriously? Have you forgotten what Ms. Xiao said before? As long as you can prove yourself, you can return to the advanced class. Go back. Elena leaned against the window, gently brushing the stray hairs from her forehead. James, stop dreaming. I never once thought about going back. He was James after all. I couldn't help but look at him, having to admit his outstanding presence. A tall and slender figure, sharply defined features with a cool and aloof aura between his brows, paired with that crisp school uniform. He looked exactly like the male lead stepped out of a comic. Sunlight streamed through the glass, casting a glow on his slightly pale face, adding a touch of vitality. No wonder Mary was so infatuated with him. If I were a girl, I'd probably be smitten, too. The silence between the two made the atmosphere heavy. Mary heard that James had come to our class and immediately rushed over from the dance studio. James, I got first place in the singing competition this time. You have to praise me. When she looked at James, her eyes sparkled with admiration. But when she looked at Elena and me, that gentleness instantly vanished, replaced by undisguised disgust and contempt. James, forget about her. Elena is just a heartless person. And that George with his rustic look just makes people uncomfortable. As she spoke, she tried to grab James's arm, but the other person dodged it. James completely ignored her presence. His gaze fixed on Elena. Are you really going to give up on yourself like this? Elena turned her head. Her eyes I see. Whatever happens to me is none of your concern. James trembled with anger, gritting his teeth as he said, fine. From now on, your affairs have nothing to do with me. He stormed off in fury with Mary closely following behind. James, don't be like this. Suddenly, a bright idea struck me. It seems Mary still hasn't managed to catch James. I began deliberately getting closer to James. He was quite approachable with the same sex, and before long we became good friends. On the weekend I invited him to the gym to play basketball, and from him I learned about Elena's past. James's father and Elena's parents were colleagues. They have been classmates since childhood with comparable academic performance. And this year, both were admitted to the honors class at number 1 high school. But shortly after the start of their first year, Elena's parents both died in a car accident. This incident dealt a huge blow to Elena. So, she began to sink into despair, too weary to even defend herself against accusations of fighting. I sighed and said, such a heavy blow. How can she bear it alone? James said with concern. She's living with her aunt now, but her aunt is very dissatisfied with her, making it hard for her to breathe. James suddenly grabbed my wrist. Elena is one of my most important friends, and I can't stand by and watch her ruin her own future. George, this request might be a bit forward, but could you help me talk some sense into her? He looked at me, his eyes full of anxiety that I smiled at him. Don't say that. Elena is my classmate, too. It's only right to help each other. But I also want to ask you for a favor. What favor? Stay away from Mary. She's not a good person. Last life, she made me suffer terribly. This life, I'm going to ruin her marriage prospects. That should even the score. James agreed without hesitation. He had long been annoyed by Mary's constant pestering. And when I told him about her character, he looked utterly disgusted. Always playing the victim in front of me. Saying she's my Prince Charming and that she wants to be with me forever. How utterly boring. Don't worry, I definitely won't pay any attention to her from now on. After securing James's promise, I set about building a friendship with Elena. Since my rebirth, my focus has been on avoiding Mary and improving my grades. It wasn't until the day I parted ways with James that I recalled a certain past event. Although Elena and I weren't deskmates in my previous life, we had crossed paths once. It was during an exam in the first semester of senior year. Mary, upset about her poor grades, took it out on me and locked me in the equipment room. I called out for a long time and finally, at dismissal, a girl opened the door from inside. That person was Elena. She stood at the doorway and softly asked, "Are you okay?" At that moment, I just wanted to get away quickly. So, I hardly thanked her and ran off. But just as I rushed out of the teaching building, I heard that someone had slit their wrists in the equipment room in an attempt to commit suicide. Back then, no one understood why a top-performing student would choose to end their life. Now, it seems I understand her choice. Life lost its anchor. She could find no reason to keep going. When all ties are lost, disappearance becomes the final refuge. That's when I decided to become her new support. I took the initiative to ask her for help with homework, hoping to rekindle her passion for knowledge. This not only helps her come out of the shadows but also brings us closer together. The plan was perfect, but reality was harsh. No matter how patiently I guided her, Elena always shut herself off in her own world, spending her days alone on the rooftop. It was as if that place had become her refuge from reality. A week passed, and I could no longer contain the anxiety inside me. On the way home from school, I stopped her. "Elena, by disappointing your parents like this, don't you feel any regret?" Her expression froze instantly in the twilight. Her fragile figure looked especially lonely, a trace of sorrow flickering in her eyes. "George, this has nothing to do with you." Her tone was cold, clearly resisting my words. Seeing that gentle persuasion was ineffective, I decided to strike at her sore spot. "Although your parents are gone, there are still many people who care about you. Friends, teachers are all worried about you. Why do you only drown in sadness?" unable to see the people around you who want to help. Elena bit her lip, remaining silent. I sighed softly and leaned closer to her, saying, Elena, don't give up on your future. James told me that your parents' greatest wish is to see you get into your dream university. You used to work so hard, wasn't it to make them proud? Studying is not the only way out, but it gives you the right to have more choices. Don't you want your loved ones to see you living happily and joyfully? After that conversation, Elena finally began to change. She started talking to James again and began helping me with my studies. However, learning really depends a lot on talent. Even if I studied tirelessly and had a former top student guiding me, the improvement in my grades was still not ideal. Staring at that test paper with a score of 80, I couldn't help but sigh. This score barely qualifies for a second-tier university. But if I want to aim for a top university, I still need to make much greater progress. Elena looked at my worried face and said softly, don't be anxious. You've already improved a lot. This time you scored 70 points higher than me. I glanced over at the test paper on her desk. The 10-point score stung my eyes painfully. This stubborn girl insisted on hiding her talents. She said she wanted to give everyone a surprise during the college entrance exam. Mary's performance was completely different from ours. She had originally entered no one high school based on her special skills. But ever since James rejected her, citing poor academic performance, she became a completely different person, studying tirelessly day and night. This time in the monthly exam, she finally made it into the top 100 in the grade, getting one step closer to James, who was first in the grade. This is probably what they call the power of love, capable of breaking even metal and stone. But bad habits are hard to change. Just as things were starting to look up, she heard that James and I were getting close. And she immediately couldn't hold back and came to cause trouble for me. She snatched my test paper and said sharply, with scores like this, you still have the nerve to pretend to be diligent every day. You might as well just slack off with your deskmate. The classmates whispered among themselves. I calmly retorted, getting into the top 100 in the grade and already acting all proud. James is the top of the grade and you're still far behind. Mary immediately flew into a rage. You filthy man. You must have been badmouthing me in front of James. That's why he's ignoring me. She was always arrogant and unreasonable, using me as a punching bag in my past life. I was used to her insults and never talked back. Unexpectedly, Elena spoke up. You're so noisy. Can't you be a little more civilized for a girl? Mary sneered exaggeratedly. Oh, a bad student defending another bad student with his country bunking looks. Why should I be civil to him? These words were extremely harsh, yet they revealed her true thoughts. In her eyes, only someone as perfect as James could catch her attention. Everyone else was nothing more than ants to be bullied at will. Elena's gaze was sharp, her tone filled with disdain, judging others by their appearance, thinking you were superior. In reality, shallow people like you're the most disgusting. James would never look twice at someone like you in this lifetime. Even if you were the last woman on earth, he wouldn't spare you a glance. She knew exactly how to provoke others. Mary trembled with anger, raising her hand to slap her. Elena raised her hand to block it, but Mary still wanted to rush forward and fight. The classmates all tried to pull them apart, but couldn't break them apart until the dean rushed over upon hearing the commotion, and only then did the brawl finally end. According to school rules, fighting requires the parents to come to the school to handle the matter. Elena's parents came for Elena. Mary's parents, however, arrived in a furious rush, fuming and demanding that the school immediately expel Elena. Miss Lee, our teacher, Mary has been a sensible child since she was little. She would never hit someone without reason. It must be that thug bullying her. Besides, I heard that this girl was involved in fights recently and has questionable character. Such a troublemaker must be immediately removed from the school. I glanced at Mary and caught a trace of satisfaction in her eyes. Suddenly, it all made sense. This was a trap carefully set by Mary. She knew full well that Elena was already on probation, and one more serious offense would get her expelled, so she deliberately provoked her to make a move. I quickly stepped forward and interrupted Mary's father. Uncle, on what grounds do you conclude that Elena started it? I saw the whole incident. Clearly, it was Mary who made the first move. Mary immediately bristled at the words. Dad, a mess. Lee, don't listen to this playboy's nonsense. He's been a troublemaker for a long time. Now he's even in an early romance with Elena. They're partners in crime. The moment early romance was mentioned, the atmosphere in the classroom instantly grew tense. This topic always made the teachers feel like they were facing a serious threat. Ms. Lee immediately turned to us. George, I immediately denied it. Words without proof. If you're going to say something about me, you should at least have some evidence. Besides, Elena and I are just ordinary classmates. Don't use your dirty thoughts to judge others. Mary gritted her teeth, naturally unwilling to reveal the embarrassing fact that she had mistaken me for James, chased after me for a year, and even confessed to me first. She stiffened her neck and retorted stubbornly. You know full well what kind of person you were before bringing breakfast to Elena every day. The whole class saw it and you still say you weren't dating. What a joke. I was utterly speechless. How could her mind be so full of nothing but romance? Don't you understand the principles of conduct and dealing with others? Ms. Lee said sternly, early romantic relationships are a serious violation of rules. If it's true, you will all be punished. I hope you tell the truth and don't joke with your future. I remained calm and sad. Miss Lee, I do bring breakfast to Elena, but that's to thank her for tutoring me after class. There's nothing improper between us. Miss Lee's expression softened a bit. My progress over the past 2 months has been obvious to everyone. But Mary reacted as if she had heard the biggest joke. Elena tutoring you? She sneered sarcastically. George, at least use your brain when making up stories. She's at the bottom of the grade. How could she possibly teach anyone with that level? If you want to have an early romance, fine. But why come up with such a lame excuse? I secretly cast an apologetic glance at Elena. Then I pulled a storage device out of my bag. Miss Lee, I have something to report as well. Mary maliciously framed Elena for fighting. At the start of the school term, Mary and a group of her girlfriends blocked Elena at the school gate. And when the security guard appeared, they falsely accused Elena of bullying them. As soon as these words were spoken, all eyes focused on Mary. She immediately panicked. George, you're talking nonsense. We're talking about your early romance now. Don't try to change the subject and slander me. Everything I said is true. I looked at her coldly. There is surveillance footage as evidence. The video in the storage device was retrieved by James and me from the monitoring room 2 weeks ago. There are cameras installed at the school gate, but since Elena didn't defend herself at the time, the teacher didn't bother to check the footage. The school surveillance footage is automatically overwritten after 3 months. Fortunately, we collected the evidence in time. Any later, and it would have been gone. Just as Miss Lee was about to take it, Mary snatched it away. She threw it forcefully out the window. If Elena were innocent, why didn't she say anything back then? Now she tries to frame us with some random video. Ridiculous. The office window faced a small creak, and the tiny storage device disappeared from sight in an instant. I trembled with anger. Mary, are you crazy? Mary smugly lifted her chin, looking arrogantly confident as if victory was assured. Just as I was about to lose it, Elena calmly stepped forward. Mary, do you think destroying the evidence will let you get away? George is right. You deliberately harmed me. Mary sneered. Why would I do that? I have no reason to target you at all. You definitely do. James's cold voice came from the office doorway. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that my classmate had found James in time. When Mary and Elena were arguing in the classroom, I had a classmate go and notify James. James strode over to Ms. Lee's desk and slammed down a stack of papers. Teacher, Mary is targeting Elena because of me. Since the start of school, she's been pestering me, trying to make me her boyfriend. Elena and I are neighbors and often go to and from school together. Mary couldn't stand it, so she falsely accused her of bullying classmates. Mary's face turned pale as she hurriedly defended herself. James, you've been deceived by Elena. Not only is her character bad, but her grades are poor, too. James's gaze was icy. Elena has always been an honor student. If the school doesn't believe it, they can have her take a test right now to prove it. The office was deathly silent. Elena remained silent, but Mary couldn't hold back. Fine, then let's have a test. Loser leaves. Do you and George dare to agree? Elena, you're not scared, are you? Her tone was provocative. Miss Lee snapped angrily. Mary, this is a school, not a place for your whims. You have no right to demand a classmate to drop out. Teacher, I accept her challenge. Elena glanced at me and said to Ms. Lee, please give me a chance to prove myself. I promise. Even if I win, I want to have her expelled. Mary, however, sneered, playing the big shot. The loser will automatically transfer schools, and I mean what I say. The math teacher quickly prepared 2 sets of test questions. These are the final exam questions. Practice them in advance. Time limit, 1 hour. Begin. Elena and Mary each found a seat to take the test. The grade director supervised the entire exam while everyone else waited outside. I paced anxiously in the hallway. Seeing this, James said calmly, don't worry. With Elena's skills, this exam is a piece of cake. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly lowered his voice. That said, she's been much more cheerful and lively lately. You don't really have some special relationship, do you? I shook my hands frantically, scared. No way. Do you think any girl at No. 1 high school would be interested in someone like me? Why not? James said seriously. You're upright, kind-hearted, and responsible. Guys like that are rare. I stood there stunned momentarily, at a loss for words. In my previous life, being mocked and ostracized had long made me forget what it felt like to be accepted. After being reborn, although I improved my appearance through exercise, and my skin condition got much better, the deep-seated inferiority complex never left me. I always felt unworthy of anyone. James saw me zoning out and said softly, I know you might think what I'm saying sounds easy, but you really need to learn to be confident. You're just as excellent as anyone else. People who judge others by their appearance only show that they are short-sighted, not that you're actually lacking. His eyes were clear and his tone sincere, and a warmth spread through my heart. 1 hour later, the exam ended. The results came out quickly. Mary did well, scoring 125 points. As for Elena, she unsurprisingly got a perfect score. When a grade director announced the results, Mary's face turned pale and she swayed unsteadily. Elena looked at her and smiled softly. If I had known you were this weak, I should have gone easier on you. Do you want me to recommend a few good schools for you? Mary's mother couldn't sit still upon seeing this and hurriedly defended her daughter. The kids were just playing around. How could you take it seriously? Facing her double standards, James said coldly, Auntie, a promise should be kept. If you thought it was inappropriate, why didn't you stop Mary earlier? Mary's mother was left speechless, but she obviously wouldn't admit defeat so easily. No. 1 high school, a key city school, has always been a place everyone fights tooth and nail to get into. No one has ever heard of a student voluntarily asking to transfer out. She aimed her accusations at Elena. You little thug. I bet you're just jealous because my daughter is beautiful and talented, so you're deliberately trying to harm her. Fighting and seducing other boys to speak up for you shameless. You're so young yet neglecting your duties, putting on airs, always thinking about how to attract attention. I'm warning you, you better stop causing trouble or it'll have the teachers call your parents. Although Elena had always been very aloof, she was still an underage girl after all. And after such a scolding, her face instantly turned pale. Seeing the situation was not right, Ms. Lee immediately shielded her behind her. Mary, as a parent, how can you say such things to a girl? You just saw it yourself. Elena scored full marks. You can't humiliate her. Miss Lee's words not only failed to calm Mary's anger, but made her even more furious. How dare you speak like that as a teacher? Be careful or report you to the Education Bureau. Mary's mother was arrogant and domineering, berating everyone present one by one. Before leaving, she even threatened that if anyone dared to bully her daughter, Mary, she would never let it go. Mary followed silently behind her mother. As she passed by me, she cast a cold glance my way, a look so full of malice it sent chills down my spine. Ms. Lee reassured us that the school would handle the matter properly so we could focus on our studies. Walking out of the teaching building, James looked worried. With Mary's personality, this definitely isn't over. Elena, however, looked at me with a scrutinizing gaze. George, about what happened today, shouldn't you explain something? From the very beginning, you deliberately got close to James and me, didn't you? What exactly is your purpose? A dark cloud drifted across the sky, blocking out the sunlight. James looked confused, glancing at Elena. What do you mean by that? Elena didn't answer, just kept staring at me intently. I slowly exhaled and told everything about how Mary had been obsessively chasing me online. You guessed right that I did approach you all with a purpose. Although I took advantage of you, I'm sorry, but I don't regret it. Mary was like a madwoman. Reborn once. I will not back down or continue to be tormented by her. I must fight back. I looked at the two people in front of me and said softly, you probably won't want to hang out with me anymore, right? Tomorrow we'll go to the teacher to change seats. Bro, what are you saying? After hearing this, James suddenly stood up. George, I'm angry. But what angers me even more is that when you were in trouble, your brother, couldn't help at all. You really aren't being a good friend. Handling this all by yourself. And you, Elena, I don't even want to talk about you. George, hiding things from us was wrong, but he did it to protect us. You have to see the essence of things. Whether it was him advising me to stay away from Mary before or helping clear your name today, we are all beneficiaries. Elena pursed her lips, wanting to argue, but James cut her off directly, his tone stern. Elena, you have to recognize his kindness. We are all good friends. His words of comfort immediately eased the tense atmosphere. I cautiously probed. So, are you still willing to be friends with me? What nonsense. James answered decisively, and Elena also nodded gently. The glow of the setting sun reflected in his determined eyes. Let's put today's matter behind us. But friends should share both joy and hardship. From now on, if you have anything, you must never keep it hidden. Mary quickly began her revenge. Within a few days, my mom's braised food shop was vandalized. Since my parents divorced, my mom has been supporting me with this small shop. For 10 years, she supported my education with this skill. Now, the shop is in complete disarray, and the walls are covered with ugly words painted in red. Those people were clearly deliberate. All the surveillance equipment in the shop was destroyed, and we can't find any clues. The next day, on the way to school, I ran into Mary. She lowered her voice and sneered coldly. Are you satisfied with the gift I gave you? You better be smart. If you dare to go against me again, next time it won't be just smashing the store. After saying that, Mary walked away triumphantly. I stared fixedly at her back, wishing I could rush over and tear her to pieces. She actually dared to lay a hand on my family. Elena heard that Mary had sent people to smash my dad's shop and was furious. She took a quick step forward, ready to confront Mary. James stopped her with a firm hand. Calm down first. My friend is being bullied and you want to stay calm. Elena's face flushed with anger. This is simply outrageous. She does deserve a lesson, but we don't have solid proof right now. Elena, George makes a good point. I took a deep breath. I've already thought of a plan, but I'll need your help with something. The next day after school, I put on a pitiful look and went to find Mary. Mary, can I have a moment of your time? I just want to talk to you. It'll only take a few minutes of your time. Seeing my humble expression, Mary smugly raised her eyebrows and followed me to the cherry blossom grove behind the teaching building. Once we arrived, I knelt down without a word. Mary, please stop sending people to cause trouble in my mom's shop. It's all my fault that I shouldn't have made you angry. From now on, we'll do whatever you say. Please spare my mom. I'm begging you. Hearing this, Mary's brow furrowed slightly. Although the idea to smash the store came from her, she hadn't arranged anyone to cause trouble afterward, but she didn't think much of it. Seeing me so pathetic, she felt incredibly pleased inside. She lifted her chin, her face full of contempt. A low life is just a low life. You only know how to back down when I take action. If you had recognized your place earlier, your damn shop wouldn't have suffered. I lowered my head, trembling. I didn't appreciate your kindness and made you unhappy. Classmate Mary, I admit my fault and ask for your forgiveness. Please be magnanimous. Mary snorted coldly. Want to beg for mercy? Then show some sincerity. My whole body trembled. I deliberately paused for a few seconds, then turned pale and kowtowed to her 3 times. Please have mercy and spare me. Hey, as soon as the words fell, tears began to stream down my cheeks. Mary found it quite satisfying to be so sensible. From now on, you're my dog. If I say go east, you don't dare go west. Got it. Mary had arranged to go shopping with her best friend. Seeing me meekly nod, she kicked me to the ground and walked away arrogantly. After she left, Elena and James appeared from behind the bushes. Elena rushed over to my side, pulling out a tissue to wipe my face. Are you hurt? I shook my head and slowly stood up. I'm fine. Did you get on camera? Elena gave an okay sign. Professional equipment, filming, both picture and sound quality are perfect. The corners of my mouth lifted slightly. This entire act was carefully planned by me, just waiting for Mary to admit in person that she had ordered someone to vandalize my mom's shop. Soon she would pay the price for what she had done. From that day on, I behaved like a loyal dog in front of Mary. No matter how much I was beaten or scolded, I never talked back. I even deliberately distanced myself from Elena and James and barely interacted with the other classmates. This kind of life went on for about a month. On Mary's birthday, halfway through class, the dean suddenly called her out. It wasn't long before Ms. Lee arrived as well. She took me to the office. "George, you've been zoning out in class lately. Are you feeling unwell?" I shook my head and instinctively hid my hand behind my back. A couple of days ago, Mary didn't do well on her exam. And yesterday, she had someone give me a harsh beating. I still have several injuries on my body, but I just kept my head down, saying nothing. Miss Lee sighed helplessly. "To be honest with you, last night the Education Bureau received a report. Someone sent a video of Mary bullying you on campus. They take this issue very seriously. If you're really being bullied, you must tell the truth. I know this very well. I was the one who compiled the report materials. Not only is there the video from the day at the Cherry Blossom Grove, but also footage of her beating up girls and partying at clubs. There are even photos of her parents entering and leaving upscale clubs. All secretly taken by me based on memories from my previous life. But the timing isn't right. Yet, I have to keep pretending for now." I lowered my head and whispered, "Teacher, please don't try to comfort me. It's useless to say anything. Mary already said her dad has connections. Reporting it is just a formality. I'm just a kid from a single-parent, low-income family. I can't afford to mess with her." "How can you think like that?" Ms. Lee reached out to pull me, accidentally brushing my arm, and I couldn't help but cry out in pain. She immediately sensed something was wrong, rolled up my sleeve, and saw a large purple bruise. "What happened here?" Ms. Lee was both shocked and angry. "Mary did this? She had someone beat you? When did this happen?" After her repeated questioning and promises, I finally admitted to being bullied by Mary during this time. Lee was so furious that her whole body trembled. She immediately accompanied me to the hospital for an injury assessment and submitted a detailed report to the school and relevant authorities. Based on the irrefutable evidence, the school quickly made the decision to expel Mary. Her father, having long abused his power to cover up his daughter's misdeeds, was investigated by the inquiry team and dismissed from his position. When Mary's mother came to the school to handle the withdrawal procedures, she looked completely wilted like a frostbitten eggplant, no longer displaying the haughty demeanor she once had. Passing by the corridor, they ran into Elena and me and surprisingly fell silent as if struck by fear. Elena looked incredulous. "George, am I seeing things? Is this really the same fierce lady who threatened to deal with us? She's like a completely different person." In fact, this change was quite understandable. Their previous arrogance and domineering attitude were entirely because they had Mary's father as their backing. Now that their support has collapsed, the mother and daughter have naturally wilted. Miss Lee revealed that Mary's father was also dismissed from his official position and all the schools in the city refused to accept Mary, forcing her to return home in disgrace to continue her studies. All the humiliation and endurance I endured before have finally not been in vain. This time I could finally break free from this nightmare. But I never expected Mary to make a comeback. On the day of the college entrance exam, Elena was at the No. 1 high school exam site. While James and I were assigned to No. 2 high school, after the last subject was over, the two of us agreed to go home together. Just outside the school gate, Mary suddenly darted out from the crowd and grabbed James's arm tightly. "James, you have to come with me." James was stunned for a moment, then struggled hard to break free from her grip. "Are you crazy? Am I even close to you? Why should I go with you?" Mary's eyes sparkled with a wild light. Her face twisted into a terrifying expression. My heart suddenly tightened and a chill ran through my entire body. Could it be that Mary had also experienced rebirth? My suspicion was quickly confirmed as she once again closed in on James. "How can we not be familiar? James, you're the one I have always deeply loved. Please come with me." A pleading smile hung at the corner of her mouth, but her eyes were cold enough to chill anyone to the bone that I almost instinctively pushed her away with force. Mary obviously didn't expect me to make a move and staggered back a few steps. She glared at me viciously. "You're such a persistent. If you hadn't butted in, James would have understood my feelings a long time ago. Today, I'm going to settle this score with you once and for all." Saying that, she pulled a gleaming utility knife out of her bag. My heart pounded like a drum as I grabbed James and took off running. Mary pursued relentlessly. Fortunately, we finally escaped her clutches. The police officer on duty at the door stopped her madness in time and subdued her on the spot. Mary was taken away and detained by the police. This farce forced James and me to go to the police station to give statements. When we came out, my mom and James's parents were anxiously waiting outside. Elena rushed over upon hearing the news. "What exactly happened? Are you guys okay?" I didn't reveal Mary's rebirth, only saying that she might be holding a grudge and looking for a chance to take revenge. For the next week, I was restless and unable to eat or sleep, constantly worried that she would cause trouble again once released. But unexpectedly, Mary died before she had the chance to take revenge. Because of my report, her father became unemployed and drowned his sorrows in alcohol every day. Every time he drank, he would become violent towards his wife and daughter, escalating his abuse. The day Mary was released from the detention center, her drunken father once again violently attacked the mother and daughter. This time, he was especially brutal, beating the two of them to death. When he sobered up and saw the horrific scene before him, overwhelmed with regret, he ultimately chose to hang himself. More than 20 days later, the college entrance exam results were finally announced. The three of us all got accepted into our desired universities. The road ahead is still uncertain, but I do not feel lost. Just like the sun always comes out after the rain, we who have weathered the storm will eventually become the adults we want to.